Okay, let's talk about their hockey team. 25-ish new guys on your team. How have they gelled, and what do you see in practice out of them?
You know what? They're coming along. I think right from day one, we started doing a lot of culture things. It was about getting to know each other, getting to know the staff getting to know them. And that took a little bit of time, but we did some things where they got together. They went fishing, they went camping, played in a kickball tournament. They spent time at the Red Wing alumni game, getting out in the community. And now they're starting to feel comfortable. I think the nerves are slightly going away. Those first few skates, there were a lot of nerves. There wasn't a whole lot of execution out there, but we've really seen some really good growth this last week and a half with our group. And we're starting to figure out some chemistry pieces. There's still ways to go with that. But the positive thing is the guys are giving us effort. There's great energy in practice. There's great internal competition. And we've been taking baby steps forward. So that's real positive.
When you talk about chemistry, how long does it take to build all that chemistry when you have all of these new guys that are on your roster?
Hey, good question. I think that's going to take time. Like I said, we've got new coaches. We've got a lot of new fresh faces. We've got 15 freshmen. So there's going to be a lot of ups and downs. And on one day, you might see a connection, and the next day, okay, they're not connecting. So I can't give you a date because we are so fresh. But the next 3 or 4 weeks, I think we'll have a better feel and a vibe. But certainly that's going to change over the course of the season too. Young guys take time, and it's not like we have a lot of upperclassmen that have been here for a while. So there's going to take time for those guys to mesh with our younger guys and those guys to obviously understand how we're coaching, what our approach is, what our messaging is all about. So that it's going to be real up and down, I'd say right till Christmas time. And our goal and expectations are obviously is to be a better team in the second half when we get a lot of this kind of sorted out.
What are you hoping to figure out on Saturday when you guys have the exhibition?
Yeah, we do. The main thing is conditioning, making sure we got our legs, we've got energy. The guys are not afraid to make plays. We want to make sure our compete effort's high, and get back to how we want to play hockey and our identity. We'll have our line combinations, we'll have our deep pairings, we'll have our goaltender guys they're going to play some minutes. And what we want to get out of it, it gives us a platform to assess where our guys are at and who can do what on special teams. That's a big part of the game, and who can carry the minutes. When there's somewhat real live bullets, when the grind's out there in the physical play, who can play under those conditions?
Goaltending, do you have an answer there yet, or are you going to move them in and out on Saturday? And
Yeah.
how's that piece coming along?
Yeah, Ouellette right now, he's the upperclassman. He's played some games. He's got college experience. He's the only one with college experience. So he'll be a guy that will get the start first. Whether he plays the full game or not, we're still deciding that.
With the new team, you're talking about getting your legs and conditioning. How was the dry land when they're coming? I don't want to say off the street, but playing for a new coach. How was the off-season conditioning for your team, and what have you seen on the ice so far with them?
Well, off the ice has been tremendous. We've got two great strength coaches in Jenna and Mark Olson. Really, really good. And they got these Fitbit bands where we can monitor their workloads and strains. And they actually think our guys are at their optimum level where they can be at this time of the year. So they're doing an incredible job with that. And it also means we're not overworking them on the ice. We're doing the right things on the ice. So they meet the criteria for their conditioning levels where they should be at this time of the year. So that's actually been a real good indication of what we've been doing off the ice. And then on the ice, we've been keeping it short. We're not going any more than an hour and 20 right now. We're obviously allowed to go full time with the new rules in place and policy. And the conditioning part of that is in the actual practice lesson themselves in the system work that we're doing. And I think, again, we've been trending in the right way with that. The guys are way more comfortable. You see less nerves. They're not bobbling as many pucks. They're communicating more. They're connecting more and executing more plays off right now. And that's, like I said, that's a step in the right direction.
How much of a blur has the past couple months been for you, just trying to hit the ground running here? And how excited are you to have live game action. So
You know what? I tell everybody, I got a lot going on. Our staff's got a lot going on, and our kids got a lot going on because everything's new, everything's fresh, and everything's foreign. And it's not a blur. It's time consuming and getting our operations intact so we can become a little bit more efficient in how we go about our day-to-day business. And that's been time consuming and navigating our way through that. But every week we're getting better at it. We're getting better at it where things are tightened up. And at the end of the day, how we want it is we want to be detailed in our approach, just like any other coach. So when the players come to practice, they have no distractions. Their focus is on their habits and their execution and their workload in practice. Not worrying about they need this form signed, they need this form signed. Oh, I got to do that. I got to get a signature of that. We're in the same mode too as a coach. We want to get rid of all that stuff, know how we operate, so when we're in practice, there's no outside distractions. We're not there yet, but we're getting there.
I know this is a ways down the road, but you're back to the GLI. It's in Grand Rapids now, but Northern Michigan with GLI with Michigan Tech. Talk about that.
Yeah, you know what? It's a great tournament. A lot of history behind it. Obviously, started back at Joe Louis. They've moved it. I think it's a great venue. I think the crowds have been a little up and down, but Grand Rapids is a great city, great venue. I heard they support it real well. We should get a lot of our alums and fans from downstate and around here. It's a nice little break after Christmas. We've got 3 other great teams in it. I think it's a great way to start off the second half, and our guys are real excited about it. And I got a lot of people reaching out to me. They're happy to see us back in the GLI. You only get in that tournament every once in a while, and it's a way for our group to get together to start the second half, but also, again, create a buzz downstate for our program that they can come and watch us play because they're not always going to make it up here to Marquette.
Would you have rather played somebody else instead of Tech this weekend?
You know what? We've brought that up into discussion. I think it's a good thing. I really do. And the reason why, Mike, for us at this particular time, a lot of our guys don't know about the rivalry. It's going to be a ruckus crowd, and we're going to treat it as a regular game. You know, you get to dress extra players to give them some experience, but for our guys, they get to learn right off the bat how it's going to play, how you have to play in college hockey, and the excitement that goes into this rivalry. But it sets us up well going into our following weekend where the games count against CC. And some of these exhibition games, versus, I'll give you an example, like the Canadian program teams that we've played in the past, or the national program. It doesn't feel the same as if you're playing against Michigan Tech. Going up this Saturday, it's going to feel like a real game, and I think that experience is going to benefit our young and fresh group.
Jane, how's the bye week been, and what have you guys been able to accomplish now getting ready for conference play?
Yeah, I think it's always hard to kind of detract from your routine, but I think in the long run, it's really good. You know, you think back and you're reporting for fall camp early August, and you take a day off during the week as a mandatory day off, but guys need a break. And I think, you know, going through the first 4 weeks and, you know, not having won a game yet, I think it starts to become mental, emotionally taxing on players. And I think it was really good for us to be able to get some time to just refresh. Had some good practices, you know, tried to like just cut some things down and make sure it was crisp and sharp. And what we did was we really worked on a lot of fundamentals and just kind of got back to making sure that some elementary building blocks were better and in place. And then we were able to give the guys the weekend off. And I think they came back and, you know, kind of in a better mindset and ready to go here for yesterday when they showed up.
Yeah. Should we expect any changes offensively based on what we saw in the Alma game with getting Austin Riddle out there for some of those option plays? Have you been exploring more of that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I think it's kind of a quarterback battle right now is what I would say. And I don't know that we've landed on who is even going to start this Saturday. I think both Horde and Riddle both bring different elements to the table, and I think we've got to do a good job of just managing to see what would be, you know, our best opportunity to put our offense in a good position to continue to move the ball and try to score points. I think we need a couple more days probably to just figure out what the exact plan will be. But they're both doing a really good job, and I think what they've done is they've kind of taken a humble attitude towards the situation, and they both are working, and they both know, like, hey, we got to kind of show up at practice every day and try to prove what they can do, and they've done a really good job of doing that. And so we'll get to probably after tomorrow and going into Thursday and probably have a better idea of that.
Good week to expand the playbook or no?
Yeah, I think that's always like a double-edged sword where you got time, you want to work on some things, you maybe want to put in a wrinkle here or there, and yet you still want to make sure that the things that you want to be really good at are mastered, and you continue to kind of knock the dust off there. And I think that was more of our focus, to be quite honest, to make sure that we were really sound in some areas that we haven't been. But yeah, I think we're looking to expand. We want to continue to make sure that we are giving ourselves a chance to explore other options to move the ball and get some guys open and do some different stuff. And yet we still got a crew that needs to go back and make sure that elementary football things are mastered, and before we kind of move on and progress.
Talk a little deeper. Last week after your press conference, there's 4 or 5 Division I athletes that decided, hey, we've played our 3 games, we're now going to take
Right.
the red shirt. They're treating this game more as a business now.
Right.
I guess, how does that connect with you? Because obviously we lost some guys after the spring game last year because they went elsewhere. And maybe the development of like a Duke Schulwald, or how do you get him his 3 games before
Yep.
he loses a red shirt? Or I guess, what is the mindset around college football now with the athletes now treating this as a business?
I think we're kind of unique in that way. I almost would say that we are, once we insulate our culture and make sure that we got the right guys here, which we are really close to having like 100%, like, hey, these are the right guys, and everybody's bought in and are going to be here. There's going to be a couple after every semester, I think, are going to get the itch to maybe explore something else. But I really think once you have the right guys that are here for the right reasons, you don't have to worry as much about that, especially here. I don't know. We don't do a whole lot of recruiting, a bunch of transfers, and so it's hard to get them here. And, we'll take a few, but they've got to still be the right fit. And so I don't think we're going to run into that concept, in terms of having to worry about guys maybe jumping ship or exploring other options immediately. However, there are freshmen right now that we have gone through the list and said, okay, hey, these guys are playing for us full time no matter what, and they will be playing as true freshmen and taking off their red shirts. And then there's other guys that we are trying to really work in the 3 games. And to your question, when do those 3 games come? Because we've got 7 left, and we're probably not as deep at some positions to be able to afford any 3 games. It's probably more like we might get to week 5. With 5 games left in the season, we might still need to use a guy. Who knows? And so we want to be strategic. I think the last 3 make as much sense in terms of just trying to wait as long as we can. You're developing guys in practice, and then can they have the last 3 to maybe get some reps? But I don't know that that's just an automatic either. I think there's going to be some guys that we'll probably use up here in the next few weeks and try to get 3 games in with them, and then there's other guys that'll have to wait. And there's other guys that just aren't ready yet. And so we're not going to put a guy out there that's just not ready to play college football yet.
Were you surprised to see that as a coach, though? Guys walking away after, let's say, a 3-0 start like UNLV?
I don't know that anything surprises me these days, to be quite honest. I think, we're just in a world of the younger generation just being so influenced by so many things. And I just don't know that it surprises me. Obviously disappointing. I don't like that. I think guys should stay with their teams and be able to give everything they got to the program that they committed to. But, I don't think it surprises me, no.
Thought on Saginaw, they had a big win over the weekend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They're a good team. They look the part on film, and, they're big, they're long, they're fast, they're athletic. They're really sound in what they do. And yet, one of the messages we've been trying to talk about with our team is we've got to kind of get over this barrier of maybe looking at our opponents in a way that we kind of judge them, whether it's giving them too much credit, whether it's maybe not giving them enough credit. And, we've got to make sure that we're approaching every opponent with an attitude of, we want to compete every play, we want to be gritty every play, and we just want to play as hard as we can, full speed to the whistle every single play. And I really think that if our team can do that and figure that out from a more collective, all 11 guys for about 165 snaps a game, we're going to be so much better. And, we have to grow through that a little bit. And, Saginaw's good. I think they have the capability of beating anybody in the conference, probably in the country. I mean, they're a really top-notch team. And yet, we have a chance to go and compete and to show what we can do to give them our best shot. And, they're vulnerable. We've seen that already. I mean, they have a loss on their record. And so we've just got to make sure that we approach them the right way and look at them with a very appropriate eye and make sure that the focus still stays on ourselves.
You've talked about preventing explosive plays defensively. Have you seen any progress there in specifically the secondary and trying to improve in that department?
Yeah, we've really worked on schematically and technique, trying to simplify things and just trying to really rep things over and over to make sure that we've got it really burned in our muscle memory here. And I think we've kind of shifted some guys around and played with some personnel positions to try to make sure we get some better guys in some situations so that we're not exposing some guys that maybe aren't equipped to, cover some of those pass plays. So yeah, I think we're kind of coming along there. We won't know until Saturday comes, to see it come to fruition. But I really feel good about our coaching staff being able to recognize those and just trying to make some changes instead of doing the same things over and over and, thinking that we're going to get a different result. I think, players have done a good job to try to learn and improve and to change the things we're asking them to. And then I think, coaches have done a good job to evaluate our own personnel to see what we need to do to change there.
Last weekend, big wins over Davenport. You do win 3-1, and you hold them to 6 points in a set. You also had the return of the 93 and 94 national championship teams that were here. Take us through all the emotions and being involved with those programs and talking about that with your team and getting them in the right mindset.
Yeah, having the 94 championship team back was a lot of fun. One thing when I took over this program, I was part of why I wanted to come here, right? Like, because I wasn't necessarily in a place where I needed to become a head coach. But when the right opportunity presents itself, you try to take advantage of it, and this opportunity presented itself. And I had known about Northern Michigan's success in the 90s before I got here. And I was very adamant when I got here to be open about that. A lot of people, when they start, they want to hit the reset button and say, like, all right, we're starting from ground. We don't want to talk about what happened before. I immediately was like, hey, we need to get back to that, right? And it's hard, and we're still grinding to try to get there. But to have those people come back and interact with the team and talk about their experiences and realize, like, hey, there's a ton of support for this program. We can get there. It's just going to take work. And so to have those people back was really fun. And then on Friday, to go through those first two sets and hold the team to 16 total points through two sets was pretty remarkable in a game that is anything but perfect in terms of success, right? It's hitting percentages are similar to batting averages, right? A 300 clip is really good in volleyball. And so to go two complete sets, we're not making many mistakes and making the other team, who wasn't terrible, they were doing okay things. We were just so clean. There was nothing they could do. Now, we stumbled. The third set was not great, but we came back and won the fourth set. And so you get to win and you get to learn. Like, even in a match where you have such high highs and kind of a low moment, you can walk back in the locker room and say, what did we learn from that entire experience? When we're playing really well, we're really good. When we let our foot off the gas, anyone can kind of enter our airspace, and so we have to be ready for that. And then you go to, Saturday against Ferris, who the most recent poll that came out, they're number 5 in the country, just super talented. And the first set, we battled with them, right? It was back and forth, and we had the edge for most of it. And one of the things we've struggled a little bit with this year is finishing teams off. You get to 23, 24, and those are the hardest points to win, to get to 25. And we were able to do that in the first set. The second set was atrocious. We just, we let a team that's really good kind of walk all over us. And I couldn't help but think at one point, oh, this is how Davenport felt last night a little bit. But we went in the locker room afterwards and, we addressed it. We said, hey, yesterday, after coming out of the locker room, or after getting our butts kicked in the third set, we came back and crushed them in the fourth set. So we're kind of in that same boat, right? We lose the second set. We come back in the third set. We lose 29-27. We had 2 set points that we weren't able to execute on. And the fourth set was, I think, 19-19 at one point, and we ended up letting the last 6 points slip away. And so we battled with the number 5 team in the country. And ultimately, what am I learning from that? We're not there yet, but we're on our way. Right. And the team, what I told the team in the locker room afterwards, I firmly believe that the team that played on Friday beats Finley in the match we lost earlier in the year. And what does that say? It means we're getting better. And that's a really important thing to be able to hang your hat on. And so that way you're motivated, like we were yesterday, to get in the gym and get better. And that's all we can do is prepare for Friday and be ready for Saginaw.
It doesn't matter if you would have played that game against Ferris on Friday and Davenport Saturday. Would you rather have Ferris on Friday, or does it matter to you what order you guys played them?
Nah, I don't think it matters. I think honestly we'd probably helped what we did to Davenport on Friday to say, hey, when we're playing good, we're really good. So we probably had some positive vibes going in with that. But I like where our team's headspace is so good right now. We're in a really good place mentally. They show up every day ready to work and get better. And so I don't think it really matters who shows up on the other side of the net. Not saying we don't respect our opponents, but really it's about us right now.
What does Ferris do really well that really was the difference on Saturday?
They have probably the best player in the region. They're outside number 5, and so when they were in trouble, they just set her the ball a lot, and she did some nice things. She's been, I think she's been offensive player of the week in the GLIAC every week.
Yeah.
And they're just really disciplined. Their scheme is really good, and so they were really committed to trying to stop Megan and Kenzie in the middle, and they did stop Kenzie a little bit. Megan still had a good match, and Jackie they tried to stop. And so we put, if anyone watched it, we set Kaylee, our back row player, more than we ever have. Again, trying to set away from where their block was set up, and they just don't make mistakes, man, and it's a grind. So we're going toe-to-toe with them in that fourth set. It's 19-19, all right, here we go. And then they just rattle off 6 points, in a blink of an eye. And so that's what we're trying to get. And again, I can't help but stress, we're just not there yet. And we're on our way. I think this team is capable of being really, really good. So I'm just excited and eager every day. This is the most motivated I've been to be in practice probably in 3 or 4 years. And that's talking about a team that won the GLIAC championship, a semi-team that made the NCAA tournament. I think this team could do something really good. So it's been fun.
How nice is it to be back at home again? Now you're getting into a rhythm in the GLIAC, and
Yeah.
What do you know about your opponents this weekend with Saginaw and Lake State, and how do you come out of this weekend positively?
Yeah. It's awesome being at home, and we're at home for 6 in a row,
Yeah.
which is unheard of in a schedule. And so I even mentioned it in film yesterday. I was like, guys, take advantage of this. Enjoy it. Enjoy Marquette when you have free time. Enjoy, or get your studies, catch up on your studies, because we're about to be on the road a ton after this stretch. And so that's really nice. Our 2 opponents, Saginaw and Lake State. I think Saginaw's 1-3 right now. New coach, young program, just trying to figure it out. I think that one's going to be a case a lot on us, taking care of the ball, similar to Davenport. Lake State is a little different. They for some reason always have our number and play phenomenally against us. And their coach is doing a nice job. And so they're kind of in that, they're out of the basement and now they're kind of working their way up. So they have more moments of really good volleyball than maybe they had historically. But again, it's about us playing clean. Their right side at Lake State's really good. She's a first team all-conference player last year. And they're tough, man. They just keep the ball off the ground, and that can really frustrate teams and force them into making mistakes. So we're just going to try to play clean and, again, focus on our side of the net as much as possible. I think us serving really tough, which we did really well on Friday. Serving tough, first contact, so serving and passing the ball, which we did well this weekend. We're doing really well in the season. So just focusing on us and whoever walks in the gym, Like, I'm definitely not looking ahead. But I'll say it, Tech's here, next Thursday, and that's always a huge match. And so we got to find a way to come out of this weekend saying, all right, we did some good things, learn from what the mistakes we made, and then get ready for that next one. But we're focused on Saginaw.
Yeah.
Great win. You guys responded well, 3-1 victory.
Yeah,
I
good
guess that's a huge win for your program. You guys go through that 3 consecutive goals. To win that.
Yeah, no, it was a good performance. I mean, it's 2 games ago, so I got to sort of backtrack on my feelings here, but yeah, it was a really, really good performance. I felt like we were prepared. The guys responded all week during training, and they understood that they laid an egg the game before, so it was a big one for them. And even though we found ourselves down a goal, it was kind of the only chance they had. It was a little bit fluky. Fantastic finish from the kid. Don't take anything away from him, but if you look at the goal, it's unsavable. And they were down at halftime, and I told them, look, you guys are down a goal, but you're playing great, so just keep doing what you're doing. And we recognized that as soon as they were kind of up a goal, they started to just launch it, and we knew if we picked up that second ball that we would have chances to attack with Tommy and Davian and Will and all the tools we have up front. And I knew as soon as we got one that it would be quickly after we would get another. I didn't know it'd be a minute. It was 2 goals in a minute is awesome. It's the best feeling in the world as a coach. But yeah, 3 goals in 10 minutes. They thoroughly dominated the second half and a deserved win. And I felt like throughout the whole week, and even though we lost the game on Sunday, this is probably the best weekend we've played of 2 consecutive games of really, really high level football, despite the result on Sunday. So yeah, great performance all weekend from the lads.
Yes, how did you feel on Sunday? I mean, yeah, you lost 1-0,
Yeah.
but was it a different feeling from the weekend before when you felt like you didn't play as hard as you guys could, or you gave one away?
Yeah, for sure. Tremendously proud of the guys and their efforts. I mean, again, we're in hockey country, so I think the analogy I would use is it's a permanent power play. We don't get Will back in 2 minutes after that red card. It's done. He's out for the rest of the game and the next game. And so for those guys to rally the way they did in the middle of the half, make sure the shape was connected, didn't concede. And in fact, if you watch the highlights, we had about 10 chances, good chances after the red card to equalize before halftime. So that tells me, number one, a tremendous ability to adapt in game. And so I'm really proud of him for that. But we conceded a poor goal a minute before that. And we gave up a red card, and we missed a lot of chances. So although I was proud of them, and it was very, very exciting to see how they just kept pushing and pushing and pushing and thoroughly deserved to get a point out of that at least, we can't allow our guys any longer to ever settle for anything that's lower than their best. And to give up a red card at home, to give up a poor soft goal on a set piece where they had no chances, that's not good enough for us anymore. And so that was the message to the team afterwards. Proud of the efforts. However, that's now expected. They've sort of set the standard, and when you lose a game at home, regardless of the circumstances, whether you play good or not, it's not good enough for our program anymore, and for these guys. And so that was the message after the game. As much as I was proud of them.
Let's talk about the yellow cards and the red cards.
Right.
Do you guys play a little bit more tentatively now? Do you keep going? Because, I mean, you have a
Doesn't
number of
change.
yellow cards out there as well.
Yeah, it doesn't change.
Okay.
No, I don't think it changed. I think the red card was a bit of a one-off. I don't think it's consistent of our tackling behavior. I think some of the yellow cards that we've had have not been because we've been tackling. It's been because we've been using our mouth and doing other things that gets silly yellow cards. So that, I think, if we can improve that, then we won't be in yellow card trouble. None of our yellow cards are for tough, well-timed, needed hard tackles. They're for silly stuff. So I think we've done, actually, to be fair, if you look at the game, despite the red card, we were actually the much more disciplined team. After the red card, the opposition had about 7 yellow cards, ended up with 2 red cards. So I feel like our discipline was better this weekend, despite having to play a man down. So I think for us, we're not going to play tentatively. We've got enough depth. Like, we can't allow guys not to go out and tackle hard. I'm okay with a yellow card that is required because of a good tackle and you mistime it. You're not trying to be malicious. What I'm not okay is a yellow card because you're talking back to the ref or you're faking a penalty dive, trying to simulate. I'm not okay with those type of yellow cards. So, but it's not going to change the way we play. Yeah.
Midweek against St. Cloud, now
Yeah.
a team you've seen before.
Right.
How do you make sure the guys get up for a Wednesday afternoon game?
Yeah.
Especially a team that you guys, lost
For sure.
1 goal difference before. What are you hoping to see tomorrow?
Yeah, it's definitely a different dynamic, I think, for everybody. This year we've got a couple of midweek games, especially a big one. So St. Cloud is now undefeated in conference. They're 3-0. They've got 9 points. They sit atop the league, above everybody. They're now 3rd in the region. Unofficially, the number 1 RPI team in the Midwest. So I'm not sure I have to do much to get them up for this. But we lost at their place 12 days ago.
Yeah.
So the response that everybody saw from our boys this weekend, I would expect the same tomorrow without having to say much. It's my job, the staff's job, the medical team's job to make sure that physically we're prepared to play. And that's been the focus over the last couple of days because it's a short rest off a 2-game weekend. It's already a pretty short rest. So we want to be physically and mentally prepared to play. And I think that's our mindset. It's not necessarily like, hey, we got to fix 6 or 7 things between Sunday's game and Wednesday. There's no time for that. It's really about recovery, mental preparation, game planning, and making sure our guys tomorrow at 2 o'clock are the team that has more energy, more life, and can play the way we have the last couple games. Yeah.
What are your reasons to be positive today? No.
Yeah, we got 4 points on the road.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The road is difficult within this conference or in college athletics in general. And so I think, looking at what we're able to accomplish on a long road trip is positive. 4 points and 2 shutouts. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. Another 6-goal kind of explosion. How good was it to see that offense was consistently against Roosevelt?
Yeah, it was great to see us finish a lot of those opportunities and chances in Friday's match. Wish we would have saved a few of them for Sundays, but I guess that's the game. So it was good to get a lot of players a lot of minutes and to because obviously the team is 9 games into it. It's starting to take its toll in terms of 6 out of the 8 or whatever we're at have been on the road. So I think getting some players a good amount of minutes and some opportunities in that Friday match was good.
How do you evaluate, progress as you move through conference and everything? Because obviously you guys want to be getting better every week, every day probably. So how do you evaluate where you guys are at with, just getting better?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've got a lot of data points that we look at throughout the year in terms of what we're doing statistically within our, ball retention rate, the amount of points that we're securing on the road. It's one of the goals that we have each and every year. And I think, taking care of the ones that we have at home. When you win your home matches, the road has a little bit less pressure. And so right now we're 1-1 at home. So this weekend will be important. And I think if we got to really have a sharp week of training and being able to execute the game plan that we see coming up for the weekend.
Thinking about the Purdue game, what would you see that prevented any goals from being scored in that one? And was there? How do you assess how the team played in that one?
Yeah, and I think first and foremost you have to give credit to Purdue Northwest. Their coaching staff. That's not an easy place to find success, and Mary and her staff have worked extremely hard and to see what they've done in such a short amount of time is really impressive. And so I think the first kudos has to go to them. They're a team that is, it's a team that kind of like we used to be a little bit. You know what I mean? They're full of belief and they've fully embraced the chip that they have. You know what I mean? They're bought into what they're doing. And so anytime you're playing a team like that, you have to be on your A game to get a result. And I think in life and in sports, you're gonna get what you deserve, and I don't believe that we did enough to get 3 points. I think we got exactly what we deserved based on the effort that we put out there, and I think our players would say the same. It just wasn't good enough in terms of being clinical in front of goal. We left a lot of opportunities on the table, and really lacked a killer instinct in the box and and on set pieces. So that did us in. Their goalkeeper played exceptionally well, and obviously you look at that result and you think, wow, what happened? And but Purdue is not the same Purdue that they've been, and so they're undefeated, and so it was good we'll take the point and look forward.
Getting my teams confused at the moment, so excuse me, but were the percentage of corner kicks getting better results?
When we finish them, I think it's something that we've worked on in terms of being able to score in a variety of different ways. And then now the opportunities, like when you are not being able to break down the opponent, which we had difficulty breaking down Purdue, well, then you need to make sure you're able to score on your set pieces, and that's something that we just did not execute on. I think we've showed a lot of attention to both phases, but that's everybody is doing that same type of game plan, and I think what we have to do is just be more clinical in front of goal, because we do have the ability to score in a variety of different ways with the weapons that we have. It's just not executing in those moments, and I think that comes down to focus and repetition and gaining confidence throughout practice and throughout other matches as well.
You mentioned being 1-1 at home. What needs to happen for this to be a 2-0 weekend for you guys?
We got to show up for both games, and I never really look too far ahead, in terms of anything past Friday. You can never get 6 points without getting 3 on Friday. So I think that's the first and foremost thing is we got to take care of business against a very good, athletic, Ferris State team that's having a good year. And I think before we can even look to getting 6 points, we have to make sure we can get 3 on that Friday, and that'll be a positive sign. If we can play both Friday and Sunday really good. I think that's something that we've lacked over the last 8 games or whatever it's been, is just being able to play really well on Friday and then also being able to play really well on Sunday. I think the accountability factor and being focused and locked in for 2 games is not something that we've ever struggled in. So as a coaching staff, we got to kind of, I think it starts with us and just trying to figure out what we got to do to get them prepared for the entire weekend. So I think it's something new as a staff that we're trying to figure out.
Coach, just take us through where you guys are at as
Yeah.
a team at this point in the year. First time
For
talking to you.
sure. Well, right now, we are in our 6th week of training and getting ready to go on our first road trip this weekend to St. Cloud, which will be a big test on the men's side for sure. And then our women look pretty good, and I think that they will handle the meet pretty well. Men are going to be challenged because St. Cloud has a strong men's team. So, but it'll be fun to get our racing juices flowing and see who steps up for sure. We had our green and gold, kind of our inner squad, a couple weeks ago for homecoming, which was super fun. Got to see where the freshmen were at and where they can kind of fit in on the competition side and the events travel squad. And so we also had a lot of alumni come back, which was super fun. And it was just really great to see them.
Yeah. What specifically or who has stood out as you've gone through training this fall?
Yeah. I'm pretty excited about our men's divers. They look really good. Returner Toby Stiles did a lot of work this summer, and he looks really good. And then one of our freshmen, we have a freshman, his name is Ben, and he looks really good. So I'm excited to see how he does in his first college competition. On our other men's side too, we've had a couple little bit of training, getting back into an injury. And so we're not traveling with the full squad. So that'll be a little bit tougher for the guys this weekend. But, I think in a couple weeks, especially when we have Grand Valley at home and Saginaw Valley, we'll be ready to go. So hopefully. On the women's side, we have really strong senior and junior leadership, which I'm pretty excited about. A lot of most of our NCAA team is returning. So that's really exciting.
Yeah. What do you want to see this weekend to kind of build the foundation for your season? Everything.
Yeah,
forward?
I think what I want to see most is, do they have guts in their race? Are they fighting through it? Are they being attacking? Are they being aggressive? Are they, racing strategically? And really taking it all in, and we've talked a lot and had individual meetings about race strategy and certain things they want to do, and I want to see them put that out there, because if they can do that now, then maybe they can hold it and do it at conference and at Calvin Invite that we go to our mid-season rest meet. So I think it's more of holding on to those strategies and tactics that we've been working on, instead of getting up and maybe getting too nervous and forgetting what we're doing, but putting them into practice would be most important.